Welcome, everyone, and thank you for being here with us. My name is Kristen Howe, and I am so excited about this. When Carol Look invited me to conduct an interview with her around this exciting topic of eliminating procrastination, I couldn't wait to be part of this training. Now, I know that Carol has planned to help you with a hands-on experience for eliminating procrastination, which is definitely the highlight of this whole training session. So I know you don't want to wait, neither do I. Let's jump in and get going. Today, I am joined by licensed psychotherapist and EFT master, Carol Look. Carol is the leading success and abundance coach in the energy psychology field. With a traditional background as a clinical psychotherapist, she's respected around the globe for inspiring people to attract abundance into their lives by combining EFT, the tapping technique, and the law of attraction to clear limiting beliefs, reduce resistance, and build prosperity consciousness. Carol is a pioneer and leading voice in the EFT community. She has trained and mentored thousands of energy practitioners. She's a highly sought-after international speaker and workshop leader and has presented workshops at prestigious training institutes and has taught workshops all over the United States, as well as in Australia, England, Canada, and Belgium. While Carol's signature work has been coaching clients to attract success and abundance through her book, Attracting Abundance with EFT, and her sold-out programs, she also has extensive experience working with people on topics such as weight loss, clearing clutter, pain relief, and procrastination. So today, Carol is here to talk to you exactly about that, procrastination, and she will tell you the 3 ways that procrastination is actually expensive to you, including the impact that it has on your life and how to identify your procrastination type. Carol will share incredible information and value with you today, and by the end of this hour, Carol will leave you with a powerful tool to help you clear the specific reasons you procrastinate, which will empower you to live your full potential and attract abundance easily into your life. So, without further ado, I'm so excited about this. I can't wait to bring Carol in here. Welcome, Carol. How are you doing today?
Hi, Kristen. Thank you for your wonderful introduction, and thank you so much for doing this with me today. And thank you, everyone, for joining us for the training. As Kristen mentioned, we're here today to talk about procrastination in your life, but more importantly, how to eliminate it so you can start allowing more abundance and freedom and joy to flow into your life. So procrastination is something that we all do, and we all criticize ourselves for it, which blocks us actually from ever getting very far away from it. So before we start, I want to let you know that I personally vouch for everything that I'm going to talk about here because it's been tested and proven time and time again, not only in my own life. Remember, I was the first guinea pig here, but in the lives of my clients who are just like all of you listening, ready to make a positive change and eliminate procrastination once and for all.
Yeah, and I know this applies to, I'm sure, absolutely everybody here with us. Let's move forward and talk about, this is so cool, the 4 segments of this online training about procrastination. So, Carol, can you talk us through what those 4 segments are?
Sure. So I'll give you a brief rundown first, and then I'll go over each one of them, of course, in more detail over the next 60 minutes of today's training. So the first segment of the training is understanding procrastination at a deep level. And this is where I'm going to talk about the reasons that procrastination is so expensive for you. We'll go over those and how they impact your life. And then the second segment will cover the 4 procrastination types. We all fall into one or more of these types, these umbrella types of procrastination. There was a quiz, Kristen, that I sent out to everyone a few days ago that helped them identify their type. If you all missed it, don't worry, you'll be able to figure out which type you fall in during that particular section. In the third section, I'm going to show you that there is a solution. I'm going to educate and teach people how to do the technique EFT and why it's so effective. And I'll be leading everyone through the 4-step process for clearing what's in your way with procrastination using the EFT technique, or what we're all calling tapping these days. Then there's a 4th segment, the most exciting. I'm going to help apply everyone's knowledge about the procrastination types by leading them through the 4-step process. So everyone listening, we're going to actually do a hands-on tapping procedure to help you clear procrastination so you can begin to allow the abundance to flow into your life. So this segment is so you can actually see and get results right away. So this will be an actual procrastination clearing session, basically, that everyone listening can participate in. It's really one-of-a-kind experience that really people are going to love. So stay on for that, and it'll be a transformative 15 minutes that'll clear the problems and patterns that fuel your procrastination. That's what we need to get to. And for those of you who have never tried tapping before, you'll be amazed at how quickly and effective the transformative shift happens. So that's going to be an exciting piece of it.
Okay, so this is so exciting. So those are the 4 parts of this online training, which is exciting in itself. I have to tell you, Carol, I'm really, really excited about that 4th part when you talk that we're actually going to do the clearing of the procrastination problem. I'm like, yay!
Good. I'm excited about that part too, because I have had incredible results for myself and with my clients, and I love seeing the changes because they happen really right in front of my eyes when I'm working with people. It's the most inspiring and rewarding part of this work. So everyone listening, you'll be moving blocked energy during this segment and seeing the shifts in your beliefs and your thoughts, your attitudes. It's really, really incredible.
Okay, so before you start with the first section about how procrastination is so expensive in our lives, I think it would be really helpful, so hopefully you're going to be willing to do this, if you could share a bit about your personal history with procrastinating.
Okay, that could take quite a long time, so I'll give you the short version. I used to have a terrible problem with procrastination in lots of different areas. At work, I would wait and delay my projects until basically I had no choice, or until a boss said to me, "Where's that, report that was due?" I got very close to getting in trouble, real trouble at a job for it. And for me, it came from fearing that I was going to do it wrong, or that my work wouldn't be good enough. And I had other forms of procrastination as well. I fell into all the categories. And it was basically, Kristen, it was exhausting me. It was tiring me out, and I just knew that I was not being efficient, right? I wasn't being the best version of me, and there were so many ideas I had that I couldn't get done, I couldn't execute. And I really saw how much time I was wasting, and it was pretty discouraging because I knew I had capacity. I knew I had the qualities to be really successful. And then I learned how to clear all the reasons behind my procrastination. And that was the big deal. And the rest, as they say, is history. But I really had quite a problem with procrastination myself.
I love that because that means it's passionate and close to you. I think that's so valuable to all of us.
What's interesting is many people call themselves procrastinators, but they actually don't quite know the whole series of steps you go through to procrastinate. And so what happens is they're not quite aware of the pattern, but what stays with them is the negative feelings they have about themselves. It's really, really, it's sad because that does a lot of damage.
Right. Now, actually, and what I'd love to do, if I can just sort of interrupt and take us down a little path here, I think, and you tell me what you think about this, I think it would be really valuable if everybody listening, just takes a minute, I'm sure it won't take long, to think of a time when they've procrastinated. I'm sure it's all popped into everybody's heads already. Because I know what you're about to share is so valuable, and I think if everybody's already applying it to a situation of their own, like if they're literally hearing what you're saying and going, oh, I can apply this straight to this situation. Is that cool, Carol, if we do that,
Sure.
if we have everybody think of something?
No, great. Thanks for mentioning that. So I'm hoping, and I'm pretty sure everyone listening can come up with at least one, if not more, instance when they used procrastination as a sabotage behavior. It really hurt them on some level. Procrastination gets us in our own way. And then, as I said, the guilt comes up, and then there's that cycle of beating yourself up over it. That was a big one for me, and most people with procrastination have that. And even if the situation was a year ago or 10 years ago, it's probably still bothering you. It's something that you're still carrying, which is also a really important thing about our energy. So we've all been there. It's something we all do. We criticize ourselves for it, and we can't seem to stop. So let's just take a moment. Everybody, write down maybe a biggie for you or an area of your life where you really get into trouble with procrastination. It's pretty obvious to you. And then go ahead, write it down. Take some notes. Okay, perfect. Thanks, Kristen. So let's move on. I want to look at the top 3 reasons that procrastination is expensive in all areas of your life. Now, some people are going to be a little bit surprised by this, but this is key to then, again, eventually getting to the solution.
Yeah, I see. This is a different way of looking at it, which I think is really powerful. So, when you say it's expensive, it's costing us something. What is the cost of procrastination to us in our lives?
Well, I've narrowed it down. Again, I always have these umbrella feelings about it. There are 3 primary ways that procrastination costs us in our life. So here's number 1, and I know a lot of people will relate to this. It causes you to block or sabotage abundance coming in. So that's a huge one. Procrastination blocks financial abundance or joy and optimism coming into your life. Number 2, the second way that I think, and I've seen over the years that procrastination is expensive, is that it causes us to have less freedom. So not only do we waste time, then we feel pressured and we're not very efficient, and we don't feel the sense of freedom that we've got time in our lives. And that's a biggie for people. And then the third way that I look at, Kristen, is that there are enormous emotional costs from procrastinating. We beat ourselves up. We have the frustration. We have the guilt and shame and blame cycle. And it really is expensive in that way to our psyches. It's really, really very, very hurtful. So overall, it just makes us miserable in every area of our lives. I was miserable when I was a big procrastinator. It really got in the way. And then, of course, in hindsight, looking back, I can really see what it did. So while it's typical to criticize ourselves for procrastinating, we often don't look at the why and the how, or the whys and the hows about it and what it's actually costing us. We just blame ourselves. And then sometimes, even in spite of knowing how it's harming us, we still continue to procrastinate, which actually that shows us, in my coaching work, of course, that indicates that there are underlying deep beliefs and reasons that we're holding on to it. And this is the heart, really, of my therapeutic work and the coaching that I do with people.
Yeah, and I know, you've been doing this for a long time. You've been helping people for years with procrastination. Here's my question for you, because it's like we can rationally see that it's expensive to us, that it is costing us on so many different levels, but it continues to win. Procrastination continues to win. So why is that? Why does it continue to win?
Right, kind of baffling for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Well, here's the key. Procrastination keeps us safe. It's a solution to a problem. If everybody wants to write that down, this is really important information. Procrastination keeps you safe. It's actually a solution to a problem. Wait,
okay, hold on. I'm trying to wrap my brain around it. What you just said. Can you sort of explain that more? Because it's almost like I can feel that resonating and making sense, but my brain's going, huh? What do you mean it's a solution?
Sure. So procrastination is a solution because it helps us solve a problem. Otherwise, we wouldn't do it. So depending on which type you are, and I'll talk about that in a little bit, procrastination protects us. It keeps us safe from something, or else, this is the key, or else we wouldn't do it. And this is how I help people take off the blame game and start to figure it out and unpack it. For instance, let's say you had the fear of failure. Then procrastination actually keeps you safe from being criticized or being judged. Because if you don't do the project, guess what? You're never going to be out there to be criticized. Or what about from failing? That's actually a really deep fear for most of us, Kristen, and often we procrastinate so that we don't have to feel like a failure. Right? Then maybe one of the other types comes in. The fear of success is another type, for instance. Then procrastination can actually protect you from standing out and being really successful. So if you don't do what you're supposed to do, you can never be really successful, and that may be a good thing for you if you're afraid of success. So we all have fear of failure. We all have fear of success. So really, the feeling of safety and protection is more important to us than actually getting whatever it is that we need to get done.
Right. Yeah, that makes so much more sense. Okay, so I understand it better. And it seems that, and correct me if I'm wrong, the million-dollar question we all need to ask ourselves is, why would we do a behavior that not only hurts us but is also an unnecessary expense?
Right. That's what everybody needs to get to. And we go back to the solution issue. So the answer is because there's something that's helping us at the same time.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. See, I've never thought of all of this way. This is completely opening my mind in a different way.
Good, because it changed it for me. This is how I got over it, by seeing it from this angle. So let me ask the listeners again, all of you listening, which reason would you say is costing you the most in your life? So remember the 3 reasons that procrastination is expensive: financial, abundance; number 2, freedom, that idea of time and pressure; or the emotional costs, the confidence, the self-esteem, relationships, and of course then there's always your health when people stay up too late and get sick because they burn the candle at both ends trying to do all their projects that they're actually not getting done. So the incredible challenge with procrastination is that Kristen, it really seeps into every area of our lives. So I want people listening, I want all of you listening to think about that. Wow, it actually is expensive with abundance, but it's also expensive with my time and freedom. Then think about the emotional costs, because this idea of it seeping into our lives, we often don't recognize its impact until we can start to identify the specifics about which type we are or why we are actually procrastinating when it doesn't seem very rational. Or like you were saying before, but wait a minute, Carol, it hurts us. Why would we keep doing it? And until we dig down, we often just keep doing it, or we try a new pattern, or we buy a book about time management, and none of that works. None of that works.
Yeah, no, it makes complete sense. And truly, I mean, I've never actually looked at it this way in terms of what it really costs us emotionally and, of course, financially and with freedom. So all that's doing is and this is really cool, it's sort of making me get out of the instinct to judge myself, and instead I'm like, okay, now I'm really determined to figure out how I can eliminate procrastination. So that's amazing. So what I'd love to do, because you talk about there's 4 basic types of procrastination that we fall into, and I know a lot of people here, and I know that some people have done the quiz and all of that, but still, this is new to us, this whole 4 basic types of procrastination that we all fall into. And I think you said we could all fall into more than one category, but we'll get into that in a minute. I'd love to understand more of, personally, which procrastination type I am and what problem I think procrastination is solving for me. And I'm pretty sure everybody here is going to be equally excited to know which procrastination type they are so that they can finally start to clear their specific procrastination problem once they can identify it. And I'm guessing that's the first step, right?
Yes, absolutely. So this is quite compelling, and this is what changed it for me. So I'm glad that you're excited to hear about it for you, and I'm sure the listeners are too, because it really starts to connect the dots. And again, I know from my personal experience that once I knew this information, I could start to change my life. So here are the basic types that I use to categorize people, why you procrastinate, kind of the problem it's solving for you. Now, the first type is when the project isn't ready yet. Like, that's real for many people, especially if you work for somebody else. Now, I did it to myself. The projects weren't ready, and I would try to crank them out. And I would always have to wait until a project felt right, felt ready, and it wasn't even about, there wasn't enough research or anything like that. When the project isn't ready, you can't get inspired no matter what. And then it's like basic human nature again to walk away from it. In terms of law of attraction, people would say you're not lined up with it. So that's number 1. The biggie is number 2, afraid of failure. How many people listening are afraid of failure? And here's why you procrastinate, that if you don't do the project, then it can't be judged on the other end. So the questions people usually say to me, but Carol, what if someone judges me? What if someone criticizes me? When I say, why haven't you done it? So that's the real fear. So it may seem odd. I worked with a college student who would not put pen to paper to finish her thesis. And I asked her about it, and she said, well, she would rather get an incomplete than get a bad grade. So it was all about judgment. What if it's not good enough? What if someone criticizes me? So now I know we've just triggered a whole lot of people in the audience, Kristen, because that's a biggie for a ton of us. Number 3, the third type that I would say, is the fear of success. Now, I had this one too. Have I mentioned that I fall into all 4? I used to fall into all 4 types. The fear of success. So you don't do your project or launch your business or write your ebook because you're afraid that someone's going to be jealous of you or hurtful to you, or you really think it's not safe to stand out. It's like the idea of shining and being your best you is a little scary, and you've probably had experiences of that before where someone, they said something nasty because out of envy and jealousy. So you are actually protecting yourself again, but in this different way because of the fear of success. So you're afraid to succeed because, guess what? It starts to rock the boat with other people, so you'd rather not. Okay, very, very different from the fear of failure. So the number 1, project isn't ready yet. Number 2, fear of failure. Number 3, fear of success. And then number 4 is for the purpose of rebellion. Now, I want everyone to really hear this. I believe we've all been controlled within an inch of our lives, our whole lives, right? Eat this, do this, stand up, sit down, put your coat on, put your mittens on, right? We've all been really told what to do. And I think we grow up and sometimes we need a place to rebel. So procrastination ends up becoming a way, or the rebellion ends up becoming a way that feels good. So we procrastinate almost as a way to scratch that itch. It's like, well, I'm not going to do it, or I'm going to do it my way, get off my back. I do my best work when I procrastinate. And it's really funny because sometimes the people who are strictly the rebellion category, they'll say to me, my boss is so controlling, he keeps telling me what to do. And I think, yeah, because he's your boss. But they clearly have a reaction. They have a very, very strong reaction to it, rather than, hey, you work at a company and the boss gives you assignments, welcome to the world. They've got something else going on around rebellion. So when they procrastinate, they feel freer, right? Now, of course, it gets them in trouble, but they don't see that at the time. The same way fear of failure, that gets us in trouble. If we don't do something, if you don't put, and again, anybody listening, it doesn't matter what profession you're in, if you don't feel like putting your brochure out or your ebook or launching the new website because you're afraid of criticism, it's really going to hurt you. But at the time, it feels like protection.
So what's the key, and what do we really need to know in terms of making long-term change in our procrastination behavior?
Well, the key then to making long-term change is to understand the root cause, because you can't change the behavior unless you understand what you're trying to protect yourself from. So if you know that you have the fear of success, then you can go work on that issue. But if you just try to change your behavior and do it differently, it doesn't work. If you just try to stop procrastinating, I'm sure everybody listening is shaking their heads. Yeah, they tried it that way before. They tried to muscle it or do it from the left brain. It doesn't work. So once you know your type, and the reason that you're trying to protect yourself, then you can eliminate the behavior. But you've got to go that deeply to figure out what it is so that you can eliminate it. So once we know the types and what we're trying to protect ourselves from, then we can start to do something. This is why it's so inspiring to me. It's so exciting to me, because that was the key for me. The key went in the lock and kaboom. That's what happened. That was the success for me.
So how do we really get down to which one we are, the most predominant in, as you said?
The type. Well, this is the fun part of coaching, of my coaching work, because it's always useful to help people to understand the why of their behavior. Otherwise, they can't change it. Right? People, as I keep saying, people keep trying to change their behavior without getting it, so they don't know what's pushing them or compelling them to do what they do. And too many people don't have any insight into that, or they're not looking at their values, or this idea of the protection, the solution. When I talk to people and say that procrastination is a solution, they say, oh, wow, I think something just clicked, the way you said in the beginning. There's some light bulb that goes on that really changes it for them. So here's what I do. My favorite part of my coaching is I like to ask questions to really get people to the bottom of their behavior, why they would do that. So favorite question, how is the behavior serving you? And those of you, if you want to write these questions down, that'll really help you later as well. So write this one down. How is your behavior serving you? Why do you keep procrastinating? Why do you feel the need to? So see if you can come up with some answers. How does the behavior of procrastination serve you? Now, that's the really meaty question. The other stuff I ask is, what's the downside to finishing the project? So all of you listening, if you think of something that you've been procrastinating on, now it could be cleaning up your basement. It could be sending off your resume. It could be doing your business cards. It could be taking clothes to the Goodwill. Whatever it is, think about that. What's the downside to finishing the project? What's going on? What are you trying to protect? So those are the questions, and I ask them with all my clients, all my workshop people. Okay, you're coming to me with a problem. What's the upside of the problem? And at first they say, oh, no, there's no upside. Of course there is, or else you wouldn't be doing it. And again, that goes back to my piece about, compassion. If we can be compassionate with ourselves, we're going to change a lot faster. This idea of beating up ourselves for the purpose of changing doesn't work. Tried it. We've all done it for a couple of decades. Doesn't work. So if we can ask those questions, how is the behavior, whatever it is, serving you? What's the downside to finishing the project you're not doing, or what's the basic upside of procrastinating? So those are my favorites.
Okay, cool. So, this is just light bulbs are going off. It makes so much sense. I get it. We all have some procrastination tendencies. Some of us are 2 types. Some are 3 types. Some, I'm not naming names, but me, are 4 types. So just to really get into this, let's say I identified myself as someone who procrastinates primarily because of the second reason, which is fear of failure. So now what? What do I do with that information?
Right. So now you've identified the root cause. So let's say you put yourself in that category of, oh, I tend to do it to protect myself because I have a fear of failure, right? So why you do it and what you might be protecting yourself from, that is the key, right? So then you're ready to learn the next thing that people don't know about procrastination, and that's that it's easy to clear. I had no idea that it was easy to clear when I started out. But we can clear the procrastination patterns. There is a solution. It is such good news. It changed everything for me, but I didn't know that. And a lot of people don't know that procrastination is actually easy to shift and change. But the truth is, here's what's key, and it happened to me. I had never been given the right tools before. Those of you listening probably never were given the right steps to go through to figure it out and then get the tool to clear it. So with the 4-step process that I'm going to teach people for clearing procrastination, we eliminate the root causes of procrastination. And it's quick. It's quite easy. And then once you eliminate the root cause, here's another key. You no longer need to procrastinate. So if you eliminate the root cause, if your root cause is I'm afraid of success, and you eliminate that, guess what? The reason to do it goes away. The structure is gone. If you no longer need to rebel because we clear that, we take care of that, procrastination doesn't serve a purpose anymore, and it goes away. And the process takes less than 10 minutes. We're going to complete a couple of sequences. And the productivity that you're going to gain, everybody listening, the productivity you're going to gain for the rest of your day and in your life, it's going to be amazing. As I said, this is what totally changed my life. So I use the technique called EFT, or it's more commonly known as tapping. And there are a lot of EFTers, Kristen, who are on the call on this online training. And some people who are absolutely brand new, they were brought in and told about it because of their they started with the procrastination issue. They didn't know about EFT. A lot of people already know the tapping procedure.
Yeah, very cool. So actually what I would love is if you could, for those of for those of us that don't really know what it is or aren't that familiar, if you could tell us a little bit more about tapping, I think that would be really helpful.
Sure. So the formal names were TFT, thought field therapy, and EFT, emotional freedom techniques. Those are the initials for tapping, but now everyone's just calling it globally, just saying that tapping technique. And what it is, it's a combination of ancient Chinese medicine practices and modern psychology. So 4,000 years ago, the ancient Chinese doctors, they mapped out this circuitry in the body called meridians. And the meridians carry electricity and energy in our bodies. And everybody has energy. Everybody has electricity. That's how they can measure. If they, hook you up to an EKG or an ECG, they measure the electrical output. We all have electricity. And what the Chinese acupuncture doctors believe is that if you have any symptoms in your body or mind, and that could be anxiety or fear or a physical problem, they believe that you've got some kind of blockage or congestion in these meridians. So a Chinese medicine doctor uses needles, and they put them in these meridian points to clear out the congestion. Everybody listening, we do not use needles, I promise. What we do is we tap on these same acupuncture points. So we tap on the points while we're focusing on the emotional energy that we want to clear. So let's say if we're talking about the rebellion or the fear of success, that's what we would focus on. Whatever emotional content that comes up, we focus on that while we're tapping. And I say to people, it's a little bit like editing a document on your computer. You've got to bring up the document in order to edit it. So we bring up the topic, we focus on what we need to change or shift, and then we do the tapping, and that seems to help the stress relief reaction and really helps us clean out congested energy. So the 4 steps are so simple. And in my field, a lot of people make it complicated, but it's not. So number 1, Kristen, we choose a target to work on. Very, very simple. We just want to be super, super clear about what you decide to work on. Now, your target could be an emotion, right? It could be a fear, hurt, resentment, or it could be a limiting belief. I don't think success is for me. I don't deserve success. Or it could be a memory of an event. That time the teacher humiliated me when I said my speech in class or something like that. And, of course, you can also do symptoms. I'm not a medical doctor, so I'm not allowed to treat medical symptoms, but I can treat the emotional material that I think contributes to symptoms. So, number 1, we choose a target. Number 2, we measure the discomfort or the fear on a 0 to 10-point scale. So if we're talking about fear of failure, I ask the person to go think about their fear of failure, think about what their worst nightmare is, and they get the number, they measure it and say, wow, on that intensity rating, 0 to 10, I'm actually an 8. It hasn't even happened yet, but I'm afraid it could happen and I'm an 8. So everybody gets a number. Then you come up with a setup statement. So, and we do this while we're tapping on the first point, which I'll tell you about. The setup statement is very, very simplistic, and it's really powerful. The setup statement says, yes, I've got this problem, and I deeply and completely accept myself anyway. Very, very powerful. It actually reduces emotional and electrical resistance. Don't skip this point. So we say, and the standard is, even though, let's say I'm afraid to be criticized, even though I'm afraid of being criticized, I deeply and completely accept myself. And we say that a couple of times while we're tapping on a particular acupuncture point, which I'll tell you about. So that's the setup statement. Then we do the basic tapping on a sequence of acupuncture points while we're tuned in. So then all we say is, I'm afraid to be criticized. We just name the problem. And again, we bring up the file and tap while we're focused on it. And this seems to change our fight or flight mechanism and calms us down while we're thinking of something distressing. So, Kristen, you've done tapping before, I know, but are there any pieces you think that I should add for the audience for tonight?
No, I think it's so crystal clear with how you're describing. That's one of the things I love about you is how clearly you describe stuff. So I think we're good.
Okay, and I think it's best to keep it as we could go on and on about theories and stuff that's worked on, but I think let's keep it simple for tonight. So,
yeah.
Okay, now for the exciting part that I've been waiting for, we're going to everyone's going to experience the transformation for yourselves right here in a few minutes. So this is cool.
Awesome. Okay, let's do this. Let's actually put this into practice.
Okay, so remember step 1, choose a target. So Kristen, do you have a suggestion or a preference for a particular target? You're going to be my echo, okay? You're going to be my person, my pretend client, and then everybody can tap along and say the words out loud with us together. Anything you feel particularly strongly about just right now. It can be different every day.
Sure. That, and I might not phrase this perfectly right off, but you can help me with that. The fear that I will never have the massive successes that I've always thought were possible for myself, so that someone is going to say, no, you're not that amazing, so stop where you are. There's a reason there's a ceiling on you.
Okay, and is that why you procrastinate?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're afraid you're going to find out that you're not really
as good as I think I am.
Okay, all right. So now I would call that not the fear. Okay, it's not number 1, right? Let's go through the types again. It's not the project isn't ready, I don't want to do it. Okay, I would call it the fear of failure. So you then don't do stuff because if you find out you're not so good after all, that would be crushing.
Mhm.
Right? So I would I would put that in the category of the fear of criticism, fear of rejection, fear of failure, really.
Mhm.
Okay. So that's a really good one that shows up for almost everyone. So let's say you're going to be my echo. So let's get the target as clear as possible. So I'm going to test a couple of statements with you, Kristen.
Okay.
I'm afraid I'm going to be found out. I'm afraid I'm going to be a failure. I'm afraid I'm just not that good after all. So I'm looking for, ooh, Carol, those words really spoke to me.
I'm afraid I'm going to be a failure. I mean, sorry, I lied. I'm afraid I'm going to be found out. That, like, bam, that was like hitting me with a 2x4.
Okay. Now, would you like to do the tapping for real on this training? I don't want to put you on the spot. We didn't discuss this ahead of time. Are you okay with that? Okay.
Absolutely.
So when you say, I'm afraid I'm going to be found out, basically as a failure, 0 to 10, how high does that surge for you?
Like an 8.
An 8 out of 0 to 10? Okay. Those of you listening, if you have that too, please try to check it. I'm afraid I'm going to be found out. I'm afraid I'm going to be a failure. Please check that and get your number. And those of you who don't resonate with that, I'd like you to still tap along with us. Okay? All right. So you're an 8, Kristen. So everyone, we're going through the basic steps again. We have chosen a target. Okay, so listeners, follow along with us. So we've chosen the target for Kristen. I'm afraid I'm going to be found out, and that feels so icky. It's an 8. Okay, so
actually, as we're sitting here, it's gone up to a 9.
It's gone up to a 9. Okay, that sometimes happens. Okay, so we chose a target, we measured it, and the setup. Now we do the setup statement, which is even though it's that simple. We start even though I'm afraid I'm going to be found out. Now, is it better to say found out as a failure, or just found out is enough?
You know what? It's not even found out as a failure. It's sort of combining the two statements.
Yes.
So it's found out as not being as good as it seems I am. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Then so we go. Even though I'm afraid I'm going to be found out as not being as good as I thought I was, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And some people say, do I have to say that? Yeah, actually you do. You know what? We really need to say that. It's really powerful to say, and you know what? I'm okay anyway. Okay? And that is, I would say, Kristen, that does fall into type number 2, afraid of being criticized, afraid of falling short. Right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. All right, here we go. The first step is to tap on the karate chop point. And everybody, the karate chop point, if you've ever seen a karate master on television chop a block in half, that place on his hand, that's where it is, okay? So we tap there. It's below the pinky, above your wrist, right on the fleshy outside part of your hand. And you tap there. Now, I'm right-handed, so I I use the fingers of my right hand to tap on the karate chop point on my left hand. Okay? So here we go. So then everyone listening, repeat behind your mute buttons, repeat after us. Okay, Kristen? Even though I'm afraid I'll be found out as not good enough.
Even though I'm afraid I'll be found out as not good enough.
I deeply and completely love and accept myself anyway.
I deeply and completely love and accept myself anyway.
Okay, we do that three times. Even though I'm afraid we're still tapping on the karate chop point, everybody. Even though I'm afraid I'll be found out as not good enough.
Even though I'm afraid I'll be found out as not good enough.
And that'll be devastating.
And that will be devastating.
I deeply and profoundly accept who I am.
I deeply and profoundly accept who I am.
Even though I'm afraid I'll be found out.
Even though I'm afraid I'll be found out.
What if I'm not good enough?
What if I'm not good enough?
I deeply and profoundly accept who I am.
I deeply and profoundly accept who I am.
You okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Then we go to the points on the face and the body, and we just mentioned the problem. So the first point, the first acupuncture point, is called the eyebrow point. It's above your nose at the beginning of either of your eyebrows. So tap right there at the beginning of the hair of your eyebrow, and we just say, the truth is, right, I'm afraid I'll be found out as not good enough.
The truth is, I'm afraid I'll be found out as not good enough.
Then the next point is called the side of your eye, and it's the outside little bone there. Don't go all the way back into your hairline or your temple. Just tap on that side angle of the bone on the side of your eye. I'm afraid I'll be found out as not good enough.
I'm afraid I'll be found out as not good enough.
And the next point is under your eye, right on the bone under your eye. I'm afraid I'll be found out as not good enough.
I'm afraid I'll be found out as not good enough.
Then the next point is under your nose on your upper lip. No wonder I procrastinate.
No wonder I procrastinate.
The next point is the chin point, which we tap above your chin and below your lower lip, right in there. I'm afraid I'll be found out as not good enough.
I'm afraid I'll be found out as not good enough.
The next point we call the collarbone point. Trace your collarbones down to those funny little knobs. And what you could do to make it easier, put your hand out in a flatten your palm, and tap right where the knot of a man's tie would be. So you're covering both those funny little knobs and right below it. So you tap right there and say, no wonder I don't get things done.
No wonder I don't get things done.
I'm afraid I'll be found out.
I'm afraid I'll be found out.
The next point is under your arm, either side of your body, left or right, about 4 inches below your arm and your ribs there, right across from your breast or your chest. Tap right in there. I'm afraid I'll be found out as not good enough.
I'm afraid I'll be found out as not good enough.
Good. And then on the top of the head, the final point we tap on, tap around in a circle on the top of your head. It feels really good. I'm afraid I'll be found out that I'm not good enough.
I'm afraid I'll be found out that I'm not good enough.
No wonder I procrastinate.
No wonder I procrastinate.
No wonder I put things off.
No wonder I put things off.
Good. Now take a deep breath. Everyone take a deep breath. And as I say, even if that wasn't your issue, that's a really good practice session for you. And then we go back and measure again. So those of you listening, you repeat the phrasing to see where your number is now. Like, did the fear go down? So, Kristen, I would ask you to say it out loud. I'm afraid I'm going to be found out as not good enough.
I'm afraid I'm going to be found out as not good enough.
So you started at an 8, you scooched up to a 9. How high is the fear now on the 0 to 10 point scale?
It's at like a 2. It's kind of, that's why I started to laugh. Suddenly I was like, that's ridiculous.
Nice. It went down that far. Wonderful. Wonderful. Anything else come up?
You mean any other
thoughts or emotions, or does that make sense to you about the procrastination? Anything else?
It completely makes sense. I actually, what was funny is at first in my head as I'm doing it, I'm thinking, oh, but I get stuff done. I get stuff done more than most people get stuff done. And then I was like, except you get stuff done more than most people do, but you're not writing your book, or so like all of that stuff that it's like, that would be great if I could. There's no reason I can't get to it now, and that's exactly why I'm not getting to it.
Fabulous. Thank you. I'm kind of glad we didn't talk about this ahead of time so that this could be spontaneous. Thank you very much. So let me explain that to people. So Kristen has gone down from a 9 of intensity down to a 2. Could we keep tapping and getting her to a 0? Sure, if we wanted to. Here's the scoop. When you go from a 9 to 2 on emotional intensity of a fear like that, your behavior is going to change. You are no longer afraid. You no longer need to protect yourself. So, Kristen, you were protecting yourself from being shown that you weren't good enough, right?
Yep.
That fear of judgment and fear of not being good enough. So when you go from a 9 to a 2, and everybody listening, some people go 9, 7, 5, 3, 1. That's fine. Other people go 9 to a 2. Some people go 9 to a 0. Some people go down 1 point at a time. If you get any measurement of change, we're on to something. And again, if we're using the exact language for you, the chances are you're going to go down even faster because we've really hit the bullseye. So that is really exciting. So now your vibration is different, your feelings are different, which means your behavior is going to be different because you no longer need to protect yourself in this way.
Yeah, it's amazing. And thank you, by the way. You thanked me. Thank you.
I'm so glad. Do we have time to do another one? I'd love to take people through another one.
Hey, I'd love to. This is only good for me.
Okay. I'd like to do one on let's do the fear of success. Let's do a fear of success one. Okay. So everyone listening, think of why you might be afraid of success. Think of why you might be afraid of having a smash hit. Someone going to be jealous, someone going to be upset. Will it make you stand out, make you think you're not going to have any time? So then we go through the basic steps again. We choose our target. I'm afraid of success. So everyone say that out loud. And we say it out loud just to make sure we're really in it. I'm afraid of success. And 0 to 10, measure your fear. Ooh, boy, when I think of my sister or think of my colleague or coworker, wow, or I think of the time problem, wow, I can really get that fear up. So get your number, okay? Then, right, so that's step number 1. Number 2. Number 3, we do the setup statement. We'll keep it really simple. Even though I'm afraid of success, I deeply and profoundly love and accept myself anyway. And then we start tapping. Okay, so we start on the karate chop point. So, Kristen, we won't do this as a real example for you unless you have that also. Do you have that one too right now?
I do.
Why don't we? Do you want to use that? Do you want to go ahead and do it, or should we just do it as a practice round?
Whichever way you feel will be most powerful for everyone listening.
How afraid of success are you?
Quite. I feel like it will cause everybody who I love to feel so badly they'll leave me. Thank you. Okay, everybody hear that? Afraid to rock the boat. All right, so if you're super successful, everybody's going to scatter and fall apart and be upset. Like all those things are going to be a problem for them. Okay, let's get to the phrase perfect for you, really the wording quite right. And people say, how do you do the wording? You do what's right for you. Okay, you do what the truth is. So try this one. I'm afraid to rock the boat. Yeah, that one doesn't fully resonate with me.
I'm afraid I'll be really successful and they'll be upset.
I'm afraid. Actually, I'm afraid I'll be really successful and they'll feel so badly about themselves. Like I'll make people feel bad.
Okay, I'm just taking notes. Okay, everybody write your own and then go ahead and tap with us, and they'll feel terrible. Okay, good. Now, 0 to 10, how high is that for you?
That's a 9.
That's a 9 also. Okay. Now, everyone, Kristen, who I have not known very long, but who's a wonderful interviewer and a dear, dear person, I don't know this about her. We didn't discuss this ahead of time, so I really appreciate you coming up and doing these 2 9s. That's a big deal.
Absolutely.
So thank you. So you're at a 9. So everybody else, we chose the target. I'm afraid I'll be really successful and they'll feel terrible about themselves, so worried about other people's reactions. Huge problem with procrastination. Huge problem. You're a 9, so now we start tapping on that karate chop point again, the funny point on either of your hands. Karate chop point. Repeat after me. Everyone repeat. Even though I'm afraid I'm going to be really successful.
Even though I'm afraid I'm going to be really successful.
And then they'll feel terrible about it.
And then they'll feel terrible about it.
And terrible about themselves.
And terrible about themselves.
I deeply and profoundly accept who I am.
I deeply and profoundly accept who I am.
Even though I'm really afraid to be successful.
Even though I'm really afraid to be successful.
Because they'll be upset about it.
Because they'll be upset about it.
I deeply and profoundly accept who I am.
I deeply and profoundly accept who I am.
Even though I'm afraid of success.
Even though I'm afraid of success.
Because I don't want them to feel bad about themselves.
Because I don't want them to feel bad about themselves.
I deeply and profoundly accept who I am.
I deeply and profoundly accept who I am.
So does this make sense to you and everyone listening? Does this make sense to you, Kristen, why that would make you procrastinate?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. All right. Then we tap on the eyebrow point again. I'm afraid I'll be really successful.
I'm afraid I'll be really successful.
Side of the eye, and they won't be able to handle it.
And they won't be able to handle it.
Under the eye, I'm afraid of being really successful.
I'm afraid of being really successful.
Under the nose, and they won't be able to handle it.
And they won't be able to handle it.
Chin point, they'll feel terrible about themselves.
They'll feel terrible about themselves.
Collarbone, no wonder, remember, put your hand in a outstretched palm, tap across the collarbone points. No wonder I procrastinate.
No wonder I procrastinate.
The next point, under the arm, 4 inches below the armpit. I'm so afraid to be really successful.
I'm so afraid to be really successful.
Top of that, I'm really afraid to be that successful.
I'm really afraid to be that successful.
What if they can't handle it?
What if they can't handle it?
And feel terrible about themselves.
And feel terrible about themselves.
Good. Take a deep breath. And everyone, we just take a deep breath because that helps move the energy around. And now go back in, and we're going to measure it again. I'm afraid to be really successful because they'll feel terrible about themselves. That was a 9. What does it feel like to you now?
I'm afraid to be really successful because they'll feel terrible about themselves. It's a 6.
A 6. Okay. Big difference. 9
Huge.
to a 6. Do you feel it?
Yeah.
Excellent. All right. Big deal. Now let's just go right back to the eyebrow point. I'm afraid of success.
I'm afraid of success.
Because of their reactions.
Because of their reactions.
Everybody tap along with us. Side of the eye. I'm afraid of success because of their reactions.
I'm afraid of success because of their reactions.
Under the eye, I'm so afraid of success.
I'm so afraid of success.
Under the nose, what if they feel terrible about themselves?
What if they feel terrible about themselves?
Chin, I'm really afraid of success.
I'm really afraid of success.
Collarbone, no wonder I procrastinate.
No wonder I procrastinate.
Under the arm, now it makes sense to me.
Now it makes sense to me.
Top of that, I've been afraid to succeed because I'm worried about them.
I've been afraid to succeed because I'm worried about them.
Good. Take a deep breath again. Excellent. Measure again. I'm really afraid to succeed because of their reactions. It was a 9, went down to a 6. What's it feel like to you now?
I'm really afraid to succeed because of their reactions. I would say it's a 4. 3 or 4.
Yeah. 3 or a 4. Wonderful. How does it feel?
So much lighter.
Nice.
It's the only way I can think to put it.
And you understand how when you feel, instead of a 9 of the fear of success, when you're only a 3 or a 4, you're going to do things differently. Right?
Yeah.
Is that right? This is people can't change at a 9. You will not change your behavior if your fear is a 9. So now, everyone listening, those were phenomenal experiences. Thank you, Kristen. Those of you listening, if you didn't have as big a drop, it just means that the issue that Kristen brought up that we worked on wasn't quite yours. We didn't really hit a bullseye, but I think most of you listening really got it. Like really got what we were doing, what happened, and then now how things are going to be different. This is what's so cool. So thank you, Kristen, for going through those rounds.
Yeah, and thank you. I mean, first of all, thank you for me, but thank you for taking us through those 2 rounds of tapping, because I think it's so powerful to be able to go through it as opposed to just hear about it. and I know that you're doing this for everybody listening. This was an amazing experience for me for obvious reasons. And I've been practicing personal growth and healing modalities for years. So this is not like, I just sort of came out of nowhere. But you really, truly, I have to say, honestly, you have a really incredible, clear way of teaching and guiding. And I want to thank you for it, and I want to, I'm sure everybody else is just like, yes, I mean, there's just a thing about you that is so, I don't know, it's very special, and I appreciate that. Unfortunately, however, the bad news is we're running out of time here.
Okay.
And I know that, the people listening are going to want to start using these tools for themselves for continued positive transformation. So what I want to do is find out what are the next steps from here. So how can we create long-lasting, not just like, oh, good, I act differently today, but long-lasting change and clear procrastination for good?
Yes. Well, this tapping technique, you can use different statements and rounds of tapping like you just experienced with the two of us to continue to release any intensity around whatever feeling or conflict or problem you want to work on. That's what's so exciting about it. But specifically for procrastination, I've created a home study program that I'm totally psyched about to help everyone eliminate procrastination. So it's a comprehensive program to clear all the reasons that you procrastinate so you no longer need to do it, right? So it's no longer useful. You don't feel compelled to procrastinate to protect you, so that now you can move forward and excel in all the areas of your life. So
I love that, and you're sort of a tapping ninja. But what I want to find out is, why was it so important for you to create a home study program on procrastination for other people?
Well, I know a lot of people say the same thing, but from the bottom of my heart, Kristen, I did the program because of the results that I got and because of the results that all my clients were getting and continue to get. And I love coaching clients to release all of their sabotage behaviors. But procrastination, of course, was very close to my heart. And it kept working, and it kept working. And, the results are really why I do what I do and why I love what I do. I see transformation happen in front of my eyes. And, that has to be one of the most inspiring and fulfilling aspects of being a therapist and a coach is watching people transform, guiding them, holding their hand and coaching them. But, I can't help everyone with one-to-one sessions or workshops, so I wanted to continue to have a larger positive impact with people with the tapping. And I want to help as many people as possible to live really abundant and fulfilling lives. When I changed my life so dramatically with the tapping, I thought, okay, I have got to help people, other people with this on a large scale. So I knew the process worked. That was easy, and I knew I could reach more people by creating the home study program.
Wow, that makes so much sense, and I love that. So can you talk us through, exactly what the program consists of?
Sure. So the program is 2 primary sections. The first section has 7 modules, a total in-depth study and discussion about what procrastination is, where it comes from, how to identify more specifically which type you are, how many of the types you are, and then, of course, all the clearing exercises. So for each of the 4 types, I do several. I think I include over 15 different tapping scripts for people, split up between the types where it's audio download, and so I go through the issues and I say, even though I'm afraid of failure, and I leave space and time on the recordings for people listening to tap along with me. So it's as if I'm your coach right there, which is a lot of fun. And I don't always do just as simple the rounds that you and I did. I go around several times. I add nuances, talk about it. So that's really fun. So that's the first section. The second section, which is totally cool, consists of 4 pre-recorded coaching sessions. So I call them live sessions with coaching clients who came to me with procrastination issues, and I said, hey, I'm doing this program. What do you think of recording a session? And these coaching sessions are so cool. You'll listen to them and me talking to them and tap along with them and witness the transformations that they have, and then you can transform yourself if you have their particular issues as well. So those are totally delightful. You're going to absolutely fall in love with those people. So I actually highly recommend that you tap along with the coaching sessions, part 2, even if you don't think what's identified is your issue, because you will be surprised at how you respond. That's what keeps happening with tapping. People say, well, that's interesting. I was listening to your program and just tapping along, and it wasn't my exact issue, but wow, did something change. So whether you're listening and tapping along with me in the first section on the actual 4 types or following along with the live sessions, I highly recommend you tap along with me and with those people.
And actually, if I can just interject here, you so that I could be prepared, you sent me along one of these recordings, and I did exactly that. So I sat there and I listened to it, and I was like, okay, well, this isn't exactly me, and you know what? That's exactly what happened. Literally, like that day, I cannot tell you my productivity went through the, and I was like, wow, this wasn't even so yes, I further encourage people just listen and tap along, even if it doesn't seem like, because I was personally shocked. Let me ask you this, because I think this is important for everyone to realize. How do you use this course? So how much time do I have to spend using it every day?
Oh, I love that, because not that much, because I did not want to create a program that people were going to procrastinate on because it was too difficult.
Yeah.
Right? So in 10, 15 minutes a day, here's what you can do. As I said, I put it into 7 modules that make it really easy for people to use. The beginning modules are the in-depth explanation, and we look into the vibration and the power of procrastination and what happens, the why behind your procrastination. And then you can scan the titles of the tracks. So in the modules that cover the 4 types, read the titles, and if it speaks to you, go ahead and start there. So some people will be very linear, and they'll go module 1, 2, 3, all the way through 7, and then do the 4 coaching calls. You can do it that way if that's you, but you can also jump around because everything's titled and very, very specific. Don't do an hour a day. I don't recommend that. It's too much. But maybe those of you who are already comfortable enough with tapping, you might want to start with one of the real sessions. You might want to start with Leslie's session or Lynn's session. That could be a really good place for you. And you're going to totally fall in love with those people. So even if you don't start there, please eventually get to those sessions, because you are just, it's going to be amazing for you. So I would do 10 to 15 minutes a day. Use one of the tracks. Get tapping, right? Use one of the tracks. It's all written out for you. It's all recorded for you, the scripts, so you can totally transform the sabotage. So it's really set up in a way. I'm actually quite excited about how it's set up, because I've had that problem with other programs. I bought a program and it seems overwhelming, and I don't know where to start, and you think it makes sense to start at the beginning, but it doesn't feel that way. So read the titles, either start from the beginning and go straight through, or bounce around depending on your type and the tracks that you're reading and what you feel like. If it feels like you could start with one of the live sessions, go for it, because you will go leaps and bounds towards clearing the procrastination problem.
I love that. I love that it's intuitive in that way, and that, as you said, you can do it in 10 to 15 minutes a day. So we're not looking at, wow, okay, now this is another full-time job. 10 to 15 minutes a day, that's amazing. Is there anything else that we haven't talked about that comes with the program?
Funny you should ask. I decided to put in another one of my programs that's really popular, people love. It's called The Energy of Money. So, and this was kind of last minute that I decided to put it in. It's a 3-hour tapping program, and again, I name the problem, I go through the steps of the tapping, and you can tap along with me. And it's all about clearing negative or fearful energy that you have about money. So I love that downloadable program, so I've decided to include that in the package.
Wow. Okay, so basically we're getting 2 whole programs. So it's another entire program, and all about money, which I know is something that people definitely are going to have some things to tap on, would be my guess. It sounds like it'll be extremely helpful for people. And
there's another bonus I'm adding, Kristen.
Oh, okay.
And maybe I haven't set the date yet, but maybe you could be part of it. I'm going to offer a live group coaching call with anybody who purchases the program. So in January, we're going to do a live group coaching call and have people live on that. I'm going to take people and tap through and answer questions, so that's a whole lot of fun. So the bonuses are only for the people who've joined us today on this training, for the online training, and who are really dedicated to commit and be inspired to shift into abundance. So the special offer, I'm actually only offering it for the next few days until midnight on Monday, December 10th. So it's really, my way of saying thank you to those of you who signed up so quickly and for joining us today and taking the time to invest in yourself, because this is an incredible investment and you're going to see the changes right away.
Yeah, I know it's so important, and it is an incredible investment, but let's talk about that, because I know that if someone was to work with you for 8 hours one-on-one, that would cost a small fortune. And I know you've limited your private sessions, so you're offering 8 hours of content and coaching. I'm just wondering, how much is this going to cost people?
Yes, the 8 hours. So the original Eliminate Procrastination program is 8 hours. Then the Energy of Money is 3 hours. And then the coaching bonus is going to be an hour and a half over the phone. So we're up to 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 and a half. Well, I want to make it accessible to as many people as possible. So what I did is I priced it at just $97, which, less than $100 is affordable for anyone who's really committed to having more joy in their daily life, more abundance, more freedom.
Yeah, I mean, that's amazing. $97 for the entire program, as well as you said, there's, the group coaching and then the whole other program, which is actually about money. So we're probably going to clear whatever issue that we have that's going to allow us to create the $97 anyway. So, I think that's a really amazing thing. And, and of course, I mean, this is the type of person you are. You've made sure to really over-deliver, and I love that. I love that you're that passionate about making sure that people who are serious can actually do this. I think that's exciting, and that says a lot about you.
Well, people say, how can you afford to offer so much? And they've said that before. And how can you afford to over-deliver? And the truth is, I can't afford not to. I have worked on my abundance issues enough to know about over-delivering, to know about offering value, and the spirit of abundance and that kind of feeling and that kind of vibration is to offer much. And I want people to change. I believe there's enough to go around. I believe in prosperity consciousness, so I want people to do what I did to change their lives. So, I love my work, Kristen, you know that, and I feel inspired when I see transformation happen, and I'm really committed to making transformational content accessible to a ton of people. That's really a vision for me. That's a passion for me. So I wanted to make it inspiring and appealing for people, so I knew if I could price it at $97, it's a small investment for how much people will be getting, and it makes me totally excited because I know, again, I know about the results. That's not a question mark. Some people put out programs and they go, oh, I hope it works. There's no hope here. I know it's going to work.
Right, so, yeah, you know people are going to get, incredible results, and as I mentioned before, just by eliminating procrastination, how much it's almost like when you start acting differently and stop procrastinating, you're, I would think, going to absolutely start to bring more money into your life as well. So there will be that much more abundance that you'll be able to attract into your life. And little things, these are huge things. You get all of the, and I'm just guessing, so Carol, correct me if I'm wrong here, but it seems like you get all of the essential projects done in your work, that you maybe have been putting off, or get that raise or promotion, or finally launch that business or idea. And as I said, really quickly pay for the minimal investment to do this training, not to mention, and I think it's really important to stress this, the emotional freedom that you can gain.
Right.
I mean, I think amazing. You even said that. You said that was the biggest cost for you. And so I think it's so important. So everybody, find information on www.attractingabundance.com / don't worry, I'll spell it for you at the end, / procrastination-special. Or you can just click the link below this presentation to get your special price on this program, which is offered, as Carol said, and the bonuses especially, only for the people on this live training call. So again, that's attractingabundance.com / procrastination-special. And I will spell that out for you in a second, but you can also just click the link. Carol, I just want to ask this question because I know it's going to be on people's minds. What if, I can't imagine it happening, but what if I decide the product isn't right for me? Is there a guarantee or anything involved?
Yes, I usually offer a 60-day guarantee, but because I stand by this product so much, I'm willing to give an additional 30 days to return the product if someone needs to. And even if they want to, even if those of you listening, if you want to download the whole program and go through it, and then you still feel like it hasn't helped you or you can't seem to get to it and want your money back, then I'm happy to give you a full refund. So my goal is to help as many people as possible reach abundance goals. I love that. I love helping other people reach the goals that I reached and to live really fulfilling lives instead of just dreaming about them, really living passionate, fulfilling lives.
I love that. And I think, it's amazing. Everything that you've brought to us just today is amazing. As Carol mentioned before, you can get your copy of her, and this is a never-before-seen program. This is brand new. Eliminate Procrastination. Get the 2 special bonuses that are exclusive, available only for the people who are right here today with us. That special link is www.attractingabundance.com/procrastination-special. So that's Attracting Abundance, which is ATTRACTINGABUNDANCE/procrastination-special. So PROCRASTINATION-special, SPECIAL. If you're serious about making a positive shift in your life and becoming the best version of yourself, you can continue your progress and clear those blocked energies after you leave this online training by continuing to use Carol's proven and specific EFT home study course for just, and you heard her say it before, but I want to reiterate it, for just 10 to 15 minutes a day. You will eliminate procrastination and enjoy a profoundly more abundant life. So, the thing that I want to stress here for everyone, Carol, is that now that you know, and this is why we talked about this, just how much procrastination is robbing you of happiness and abundance, I want you to make sure you go check out Carol's amazing home study program, Eliminate Procrastination from Sabotage to Success. And again, you can access your special offer by clicking the link below this presentation right now.
Thank you, Kristen. I mean, I'm very happy that you hear my enthusiasm and my passion about it, because I know how well it works. I know what it's done for me, and then all the great things that can happen in someone's life when they let go of procrastination. It's really, really inspiring.
Well, and you are. I mean, you're the example of, hey, this works. So I think it's amazing that you're wanting to find a way to share it, not just with the people that can, buy one-on-one sessions, but who, want to work with this on their own, and you're saying, you know what, here, I want to give you these tools, and I think that's amazing. So I have no doubt that you'll be excited at how quickly your life will transform. I want everyone to just imagine how priceless newfound freedom will be for such a small investment. And I want to thank everyone, again, for listening. I think this is obviously an amazing group of people if you're all here. I want to wish you all from my heart a productive, happy, and abundant life. And Carol, you're just fantastic. So thank you once more for sharing your wisdom and experience with us, and I so appreciate having you here with us today.
Thank you, Kristen. I really enjoyed sharing all of this with you. And for all of you listening, I so look forward to hearing your responses from those of you who use this training, as well as those of you who buy the Eliminate Procrastination program, because I know it's going to work for you. So I am really excited to hear all about that. So thank you, Kristen. Thank you, all of you, for staying on the call, and take care, everyone.